Hey guys, I wanted to do this kind of a tour style. This is a sketchbook that I made. I ended up using an old painting that I made at my friend Nolan's house, and I love her style of like mixed media, scraping, stenciling, gluing, all that wonderful tactile stuff. Super love the textures on this, and this is how I bind them. Except this is a lazy version where I punched a hole through and just tied the strings to the covers. And I like it because I can bend it in any way that I want. I used Stonehenge in fawn color. I used to make these sketchbooks for sale, but the cost went up and I just couldn't afford it anymore. And that was back when I was doing art journaling, so lots of like watercolor stuff. Don't feel the heavy paper sketchbooks anymore. I like the thin papers that are like less pressure. But it is nice to be able to watercolor sometimes. This sticker was from the Heareth magazine that they were nice enough to let me contribute to. Anyway, so this one is actually started out as a travel sketchbook. I took this to Drumheller last year. And so I wrote a little bit about the things that I saw. And so we went to Three Valley Gap Ghost Town, which was freaking cool. And here's like a scene of Drumheller. And I wrote a little bit about the Badlands. Ice Age melted, it says 10,000 years ago, and it just like carved a hole in the ground. This area is extremely flat, and then suddenly you're driving into a hole, and that's where Drumheller is. And there's a different types of stones that I saw. These are just like places that we visited. There's like a cave in Banff. So this all looks like very pretty and finished, because I was wanting to publish it in kind of a zine format. Ended up being this, a sketchbook for a road trip. All these pictures are in here. Right, so that's what I was kind of going for, and that's why it looks so finished. And I did a lot of these while camping. And a lot of things that I like to do in my sketchbook are things that I see and want to collect from my life, just like mundane little things. So when we saw a bat in the daytime because he was thirsty, I drew him. And here are some interesting objects from the ghost town. They had a whole train roundhouse situation, and we were allowed to walk through all the train cars. I have a very interesting adventure video about that, so you can take a look at what that looked like there. Here's the Sky Bridge, the tallest, longest suspension bridge in Canada, apparently. That's in Golden. When I want my sketchbook to look kind of finished, if I have like an empty space or whatever, I will fill it up with text about what I'm doing. This area was just like a practice run for a painting that I was doing, a commission. Here's some objects that we found in the river. When we go camping, we like to go river floating, and we found like a whole cantaloupe, a really big shirt, unopened can of pear cider, and sketchbooks are great for collecting mundane details that you would otherwise just forget, like the types of flowers that we saw in Alberta. Yeah, so empty space. I did the thumbnails for a different commission of a dog dressed up as Cyrax. I have this page where I couldn't remember the difference between a sunfish and a moonfish, and I come up with little ideas for paintings here. I haven't even actually acted on that. And this whole spread was a day walking around downtown Vancouver from Granville Island across, food that we ate. Another source of inspiration for your sketchbook is the news. I saw this news article where a prothonotary, if that's how you say it, warbler was found in someone's garage. And it says there are estimated 30 of these warblers in all of Canada, and one of them was found in Vancouver. I thought that was interesting, so I drew a picture of it. I also drew a picture of something that I saw, which was a seagull swallowing an entire ciabatta bun only because this crow was trying to get a piece of it. And I did not know that a seagull could do this. And this was just a practice for like collage that I did for Patreon. This was also technically practice for a commission. I usually do sketches while I'm at the flea market or craft markets and stuff like that, because someone had the idea, maybe they want to draw their new puppy in front of a burning building. And I realized I didn't actually know how to draw a fire. So yeah, these are all from like photos that I found on the internet, but it was just me practicing to see if I could draw a fire, and I think I could. Another source of inspiration was actually a BuzzFeed article of celebrities, candid photos of celebrities just walking through Coachella or whatever, and I thought their outfits were kind of interesting. But I also just really love photography of people walking. I think it teaches you a little bit more about how bodies move. I think you can identify most of them. This was a page I ripped out from a previous one. Acetate with a pressed flower between it. That was my way of collecting a pressed flower, and it's also kind of cool because you can see through it. I tried to draw mice and I didn't know how, so I practiced, and that's how I decided what I was going to draw in my sketchbook that day. This is when we were at a park, I think it was the Bloedel Conservatory, and trying to figure out a way there. Up popped this Google tourist attraction which somebody put up with friendly neighborhood cat, and it had reviews and everything. It's just a picture of somebody's cat. And this is something that I really want to paint kind of big and long, like a big long landscape sometime. Still Here Still Life is actually an Instagram account that posts still life. They're not very interesting still life, but they're there. And you would have seen this. This is from the urban sketching run. Plants from the conservatory that I thought were cool. These are the mice that I couldn't draw. The gates to Chinatown. Love the way this corner turned out. Mostly because of the addition of the clovers. And I only added clovers because I saw a patch of them growing in the neighborhood. I had an empty space. I didn't know what to do with it, so I just added something. I think maybe these are lyrics or something. I forget, actually. Modest Mouse, maybe? I don't know. But during the 600-page sketchbook challenge, I noticed that the pages I love the most are ones with big, blocky text in them. It gives you something to kind of stop and appreciate. And it just, I don't know, it looks more rich and more interesting to me than just non-stop pictures. And this was just me trying to practice storytelling. And I'm not good at storytelling, so don't even try. It means nothing. It's just a hawk. Here's the building that I painted. This is a secret still. But this is a song that I've had stuck in my head for 2 weeks. And this is the page that I did at the social event where we got together and took inspiration from a pile of books on a table. And honestly, my favorite part is this tape, because the person who's sitting next to me, Jenny, she was going to throw this out, but I wanted to keep it, not just because it's cute, little owl tape, but because this is a proof to me later, like a reminder that I went out and been social and faced my fear of being in a group and talking to them. And this is just another tacked on art journal page from a previous art journal I tore up. Oh, and these are the cherries that we were eating on the beach that one time my cousin and I decided to hang out together, and both of us were a mess. We were emotional, just messes, and we decided to go to the beach and draw on it, and it was a nice day. And thanks to my sketchbook, I can remember that in a nice way. So that's it. And that's why I love these sketchbooks that I made, because it's so short. Apparently it took me only a year to fill it. Before, I think it would take me 6 months if it was my only sketchbook. Have that feeling of completion in a shorter time. I hope that gave you some ideas, and thanks for watching.